Hey there, this is Jake Huppert. I am the co-founder and CEO of the Transformational Travel Council, and I am here today to talk to some of my friends in Latin America that have some of the most incredible lodges and camps. They don't really recognize what a fan I am. And that I've secretly been following every single one of them for many years, and it is a true honor for me to have these guys here for our discussion on transformative lodges as part of our A New Dawn in Travel event, our 24-hour virtual festival. Hopefully, by the time you've settled into this conversation, you've already engaged some of our other campfire conversations, some of the music that we've shared from around the world, and now you're excited to learn about what some of these lodges are doing to create the space and create the conditions for travelers to transform. So with that, we've got about 45 minutes or so. I have no doubt that this is going to be pretty rich and exciting and filled with really amazing insight and wisdom, but also some practicalities, and some opportunities to learn, from some of the best, and then for those of you that are travelers out there, these guys are the magicians. Yeah, they're the ones behind the scenes that created the vision and are bringing these experiences to life. And so it's really an exciting opportunity to look behind the curtains and see, who are these guys, and what brought them here, and what have they learned as going through the pandemic. So with that, one of the things that an important part of our New Dawn in Travel is that people, we create that space for us to speak from essence. A lot of us, and I think all of us, or at least most of us in this group, we're in our homes. We're surrounded by our families and our animals, and there's a certain vulnerability that comes with that. And I think that's been one of the real silver linings of this last year. Yes, lots of Zoom calls, but I've also seen, sides of people that maybe I wouldn't have seen. So as we have these conversations and create the space, I think it's important to carry that thread through. We are at home, we may not be sitting by the fire, but we're comfortable and ready to share and really be vulnerable and, around what we've been through over the last year, what we see on the horizon, and how that relates to transformational travel, sustainability, regenerative tourism, etc. So for the first question, I would like to share that I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist, and for me it's been a challenging year, and on many fronts, but it's also been this incredible time to be introspective. One of my favorite quotes from Joseph Campbell is it's about going into a cave, right? The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek, and so all of us, we've been put in this cave, and we've hopefully identified some treasures. So with that, what in this time of change, at this edge of change, and we're still very much in this pandemic, right? What have you learned about yourself, your business, the industry, or even humanity? And like I said, prior to the call, feel free to riff on all four, or just one that really hits home for you. But maybe we can kick that off with Jorge Perez, who is the vice chair of the Transformational Travel Council, and my brother from another mother.
Thank you, Jake. It's such a pleasure for me to be here with this group of friends on the first hand, but also some of the people that represent one of the most beautiful and best lodges in South America. So it's so great to be with all of you here, sharing your wisdom and ideas. Related to your question, probably the first thing that comes to my mind is that together we stand, divided we fall. That's something that the pandemic can show it to us. It's like that we're one planet. More than ever, we're able to see that the problem as the first time in our life, at least, that we face this and probably in humanity life, that a pandemic is all over the planet at the same time. So, because we all have faced crisis, but a global crisis like this is our first time, and this has put a lot of things over the table for me. And one of those is that we need to do it together as the humanity, and that there's more problems coming on, and one of those is this environmental crisis that we'll live in, and that is reflects overall in climate change. But I think climate change is just one of the waves that are coming. I think that there's a second wave of biodiversity disappearing. 60%, we've been able to erase from planet Earth 60% of the wildlife in the last 50 years. So there's a lot going on, and I think this pandemic did something that a lot of us thought that was impossible. That was to stop the planet. Somehow we were able to stop our busy lives. Somehow we were able to, to suddenly everything stops in a certain level, not fully stop, but stop in a certain level. And for me, it has been a great chance to rethink where we want to be. And one of those things that has been interesting is that it's going to, like, I will say, back to the future, because I realized that I went back to my roots. A lot of what I was thinking when I was younger, and a lot of the things that we were planning when we started with this business, and we want to throw that to the future. And a lot of it is transformational travel. I think that transformational travel is a great tool to change lives. It's incredible how you could find yourself when you travel. So why not use that time wisely to reconnect to ourselves, to reconnect to the planet? So for me, that's kind of been, has reaffirmed that we're on the right path with the TTC, but at the same time, um, I'm positive about the future, even though I know that 2021 will still be a difficult year in our industry.
Jorge, I don't know. Hearing you speak, I don't know if you felt this way, but I did feel that we were in this rat race trying to have more and more and more. And I think that this opportunity has really slowed us down and said, why is it that we're doing it? I think that I remember having lots of clients who just wanted to tick off Galapagos Safari Camp or being in Galapagos just because they wanted to tick off another destination. I think that this has given us the opportunity to slow down and say, why do you want to travel? And can we make it a more enriching experience? And how can we do that? I don't know how you feel about it.
I couldn't agree more with you, Michael. I think it's been such a great moment, even to given a reason to travel beyond a tip, like a bucket list. It's like, and I think a lot of the people will go in that trend. For me, we were in a race to nowhere. And as fast as we can. And that's why we are where we are. And I think as a humanity, we have reached a lot of good things, but at the same time, we're destroying the planet. And at the end of the day, that means destroying ourselves.
Yeah.
So I mean, go ahead.
No, I'm seeing that now. I don't know. We've just started to have new reservations, and people are asking for something which has never happened in Galapagos. The whole idea was to make everything shorter so that we could fit into the 2 weeks. Now we're having clients asking us for 2 weeks in Galapagos or 2 weeks just the whole time, because normally it was they combine it with Peru and they would go from one place to another. And I think that people are taking this time to just stop and say, why are we traveling and how can we make this experience more enriching? And I think that by taking it slow and experiencing the destination and trying to absorb the destination to a more enriching experience. I don't know how our colleagues in the other camps feel.
Yeah, Andres, how are you seeing things in Peru, and what have you learned about yourself?
Well, that's a huge question, and I think that one, if I can put together in only one word, I would say evolution. We need to evolve. We need to change as much as we can. I mean, so many things that we did wrong in the past. And, learning from my experience here in Cusco, in the Andes, in secluded communities that seems to be poor, right? And I used to also lead and go with groups, here in the mountains. And I remember, somebody from New York, and she said, wow, such a poor people. And I said, no, you're so wrong. I learned so much about them, and they have, fresh food, fresh water, fresh air, no illness there at all, no cancer. They have animals, they have, traditions and techniques and connection with Mother Earth. I learned so much about, taking care, of being grateful, right? And those, elements are, so important in what you are, in to be giving back, right? Reciprocity, aini, it's a word in Quechua, right? Which is so, so important. So whatever you do, you have to give back, right? Whatever you give, you are going to receive back. And that is exactly what these people here in the Andes do for millions of years, thousands of years, I'm sorry. So I think that is the most connected, knowledge that I get from these people. And we try to put them in our itineraries to connect to those ancient traditions and to reconnect with Mother Earth. Because if you don't love Mother Earth, how the hell you're gonna care of it, right? How you don't want to do it? You have to love it first. So if you see to these ancient people and you look backwards, every ancient civilization, they have rituals to start loving Mother Earth first of all. Then you can seed, then you can plant, then you can harvest, whatever. But you first need to be grateful, right? And that happens everywhere in the world. It's not only here in the Andes. So I think that that's something that we need to revalorate, everywhere, to put together somebody different, a human that is moving into, the next step and evolve, But I believe that we need to look forward and really, really back, in time to move forward.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and I really appreciate what you shared there, and the reciprocity piece. That's the golden rule. It's like a timeless truth, and and I feel like that's been lost, on a lot of the industry and travelers, and I'm just really excited to see the industry sort of recognizing and re-indigenizing, right, a lot of the industry and bringing forth a lot of that ancient wisdom. So thank you for that, Bernardo.
Yes, for me, it has been a very, very hard time. I not only because of the business and the industry, but mostly personally. I learned that I like to touch. I like to touch stones. I like to touch trees. I like to feel the cold weather, the wind. I like to smell. I like to touch people. In Latin America, we are very good to hug others and to kiss, and I learned that I like that, and I need it, and I'm pretty sure that everybody needs it. So I'm confident that, and I'm positive about the future, because to touch a Chilean stone, you have to travel to Chile, which I'm glad that this is the way. And this is it. I think the screens and right now we are talking through a screen, and I agree that it's very, very useful, and you save time, and but at the end of the day, it will not transform you. Nothing through a screen. You have to touch and to smell.
I couldn't agree more, especially with all this hubbub around virtual reality, and I just, that's a conversation for another day. But I agree that the multisensory exploration is absolutely key, because it sets up the connection, right? When you get to explore with your senses and your intuitive sense as well, it just opens you up to the power of travel and connecting in a deep and meaningful way when you're traveling and you have these amazing encounters with the locals. So, at the Transformational Travel Council, we've seen just about every travel company in the world right now and destinations claim that their experience is transformational. We could probably get into an argument whether travel is inherently transformational or not. I think that change, is inherent to travel, but from my perspective, transformation takes place, once we've had an experience and we've reflected on it, we've assigned meaning, and then we transform. We take meaningful action at home, with the way that we behave. And the choices that we make and how we live. Tell me, what does transformational travel mean to you guys? What is that term? Is it, how does that make you feel? Is it, it's sometimes it's a loaded word. It's a powerful one, right? It's sometimes a challenging one to bring up with even travelers. So what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to the rest of us? Andres, you want to go first on that one?
Well, yeah, sure. As you said, transformational travel. Transformation is such a powerful word, and since, as I mentioned, that we offer and we are in a place that is very rich in many levels, right? The transformation comes, in different levels. It's not just one package and say, if you're going to a secluded community, you're going to get transformed. You can do it in so many ways. So that's why we also offer, different kinds of itineraries in the area, that it's covering from Cusco to Machu Picchu. So there we have lodges in different valleys and areas, and we put together programs that are interconnecting these lodges. So in terms of what we want to offer is that we pick, the right lodge to design the right experience in terms of connect you to nature, and transform you to nature. So, or you can go to Lares and connect, in a very different way, more cultural, and going to secluded sites and stuff. So I think that transformation, it's a full, world that it has to be in a level of connections, right? It has to be a connection. And that means also what I said before, reciprocity, giving something. It's not about just going and giving and taking a photo. It's going there and leaving something behind, more than just the footprint, right? So I think it's also that interconnection. It's not happening only in one way. It's happening both ways, right? Like the travelers are changing, the operators are changing, and also the people there, the local people. So I don't know. I just went, very, but maybe more ideas are coming. But I don't know what things. I don't know, Michael. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, in Galapagos Safari Camp, we were a strong believer on having to induce this on our passengers. So we actually give them an eye bag. And so in this eye bag that you open up, you have a pocket to put your phone, so you can actually get away from your electronics. And then we have Palo Santo, so you can smell. Then we also have something so you can listen, and a little peeping hole, and then something that you can touch. And I think that that's kind of a start to just stop and make you think of all these senses that you normally are oblivious to because you're in such a rat race and focused on your electronics, or you're not taking that time just to stop and analyze. And for that, for the iPad for us has been a great way to start the journey once they get to Galapagos, because we have had passengers who come on the phone and have been on the phone all the time that they've been there, and they actually leave still on the phone. And then one wonders, why does one travel? I mean, the whole point is to try and experience where you are and take in the culture, take in the nature. And I don't think that one can do that when they're so caught up in day-to-day running. I don't know, Jorge, what do you?
Um, I think like Jake, you asked if travel was transformational per se, and I think it is the seed, so it could grow into transformation for sure. It is the right tool, and but we as logists cannot transform people. People can transform themselves. We could just give them tools to help to find what they need to look in their lives. I think it's important to that a real transformation is when you go back home and you realize that you're a new person, or that you have new goals, or that you were able to understand things different. And travel per se has that beauty because you're able to see other cultures, as Andres said, and you understand other cosmovisions, other ways to understand the universe, and I always make this story about that in Andean cultures, the in Western cultures, future is in front of us and past is behind us. But in Andean cultures, the future is behind you and the past is in front of you, and it's such a different way to understand the universe when you think it like that. But you will realize that is true, and because I'll explain, what you could see in front of you is your past. So your past is in front of you. What you cannot see is your future, is in your back. So it's just a small tip of the iceberg to show, like, going to see other cultures will open your mind, will give you new chances. So in our lodges, like in Hacienda El Porvenir, we could try to do it always very subtle, to connect to yourself, to understand where you are. Like you will find messages as simple as, do you remember when being here was just a dream? And that's something that the travelers forget. When we were traveling so busy, we have forget about certain kinds of connections. I've been in the safari camp, and they manage a lot of these concepts, beautiful, and we offer different options, like from horse encounters, which horses will reflect while it's happening in your life, to solo experiences, for those more that want to get into it. But for me, transformation is within the traveler. We just provide the right setting, and I think all of our places are one of those that has to be in the bucket list, Torres del Paine, Cusco and Machu Picchu, Galapagos, the highest active volcano in the planet, like Cotopaxi. So we have the right settings. And I think with this group of people, what you will find out is that we have also beautiful tools to help you, disconnect to reconnect, as Michael said. I think one of the challenges now that we face is that we're always connected. I remember when we were younger that you really left home, calling was super expensive. So you didn't have the internet, and probably for the millennials that are seeing me saying this, say, oh, that guy is super old, but we were able to travel like that and disconnect from all of what was home and connect to that new destination. And somehow now we need to force that to happen. It's in us to decide, hey, I will completely disconnect. And I always make this example that if you want to disconnect your iPhone from the right wall to connect it to the other side of the room, you first need to disconnect it. So for me to have this transformation, we first need to disconnect from home and connect to the new experience, connect to the new culture. And how we do that, is like, we invite you to embrace, the other culture, to travel without judging, to be willing to do different activities that will take you out of your comfort zone. So there's many ways you could do it. But I think travel per se is a great way to transform people. And these lodges, like the one that we're talking here, are the right destinations to do it.
Thanks, Jorge. a lot of people talk about transformation and transformation of self, and what you guys have just described. That's absolutely important in this process that we call travel, as we learn, stretch, and learn and grow. A lot of people will say that it's awfully narcissistic, though, right? Like they'll say, oh, what about all of these problems out here? What about, shouldn't we be talking about sustainability? Shouldn't we be more responsible travelers? Why are we just worried about the individual? And obviously I've got my thoughts on that, but, change does start from the inside out, just to tee that up a little bit for you, Bernardo. But what are the impacts that the transformation of self and, us as individual has on our lives, on our families and beyond?
Well, we push that a lot. We have been, neutralizing our carbon dioxide from 15 years now. A lot before it was something that everybody understood and knew about. And our lodge are domes, and they are built over platforms. So one day when we decide to dismantle everything, it should remain the earth, everything quite a lot untouched. Our bathrooms are all with a compost system, a Canadian technology that we really push very, very hard the idea of leaving no trace on the place. And this take people a little bit out of their comfort zone, especially when you talk about the bathroom. And we like that. And one idea there that when you want to transform people is that you will never be able to make 100% of the guests happy. You will have always somebody, when you are taking the people out of their comfort zone, that will not be happy, that they will not understand the idea, and maybe they will have a bad experience. So you have to take the risk, because if you want to make everybody happy, you will transform nobody. Mm-hmm. That I am sure you will do something on the right path, very politically correct, and you will get no transformation at all. So we push that very, very hard. We do, for example, our compost system, where you take the sheet of the guests, and we put it on a compost system, and then the next season we put them on the greenhouse and we grow flowers, and we take the flowers and we put them on the table at the breakfast. So we explain people, you see those flowers? Well, those are coming from the sheet of the guys that came 1 year ago. So your sheet will be on the table next year. And this is a message, a very, very simple message, raw message they love a lot. But it's true. It's true. Of course, it's an example. We are not going to save the world doing that. But it's education, and we hope that people can take that and bring it back home and do something. I mean, do something. We are working very hard. This is a lot harder to use no one-use plastic. And this is a very, very difficult issue. And if everybody take something back home and apply it at home, I think we are doing our little bit help to save some biodiversity.
Yeah, I imagine all of you guys, if I asked you, like, after your guests leave the lodge, are they more connected to Pachamama? Are they coming away from this experience with a stronger sense of stewardship?
I am sure. I'm sure. Our lodge is a camping also. So, and we have, for example, we have some domes that have no heating and no electricity and shared bathroom. And so when you wake up in Patagonia, where it's cold, and it may be raining, and you may have a lot of wind. So when you wake up and you want to pee at night, you have to get out. So you will remember the wind, the rain, everything. You will.
Yeah, how are you guys supporting that? Like, you know, they have this experience, they come back home, and you know, and to use that term, Michael mentioned the rat race. We drop back into our individual rat races. Is there anything that you guys are doing to allow them to sort of keep that light on, keep them, you know, motivated to take that experience and transform and become more become more of a steward in their lives, and you know, you care more deeply about your destination, live more mindfully? Is there anything that you guys are doing on that front to cultivate it after they've returned?
Before we change to that question, you know, you mentioned something about the selfishness of when you focus on the self, on the one.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, to change the world, you need to change yourself. You know, that's the first step. So you have to invest. Is like you could not love others if you don't love yourself. And the first thing. And the other thing is that you don't miss what you don't know. So you first have to go to those places, connect to them, understand them, and then, you know, you start caring for them. So and the other thing that people is missing is the opportunity to the locals that tourism bring.
Oh, Jorge seems to
we lost.
It's only Jorge.
It's only Jorge. While we wait for him to reappear, does anyone want to chime in on this?
Well, Jake,
you see,
I would like
we
to.
need to touch.
Yes, we do.
I would like to add, you know, in order to your question, that I truly believe, you know, that the experience that you can get here and connect with people, connect with this place, with the root of it. Not if you're coming to Cusco, you're coming to a modern city. You're gonna find everything here, right? But if you move, you know, only a couple hours away, you're gonna get, you know, like a time machine. You're gonna go back in time. So the farther you move out of the cities in Peru, you know, the closer you're going to get to the roots of this place. So when you're moving and you're, you know, moving aside your connection during the day, because you're not going to get, you know, Wi-Fi until you get to the next lodge in the middle of nowhere with satellite. But I wish that we can, you know, cut that and you can explore and reconnect with the stars that night, instead of being inside your room, you know, chatting with somebody else. So I really believe that sometimes a little detail, you know, will be remembered, just like, you know, Bernardo mentioned, you know, of the flowers, that reconnects back to you, you know, to that memory, to that place, to something that changed you. So I believe that big stuff and little details can really move into, you know, that transformation. And that's what we take care of, you know, and in what we offer, you know, in what we deliver to our passengers.
Yeah, getting that rhythm of nature, right? That is where those connections start to happen, right? Looking up at the stars every night, starting to have that perspective.
You know, it's such a different, you know, and sometimes, you know, as I said, I'm an expert in the stars, right, and their connection with the architecture. So sometimes, you know, at some point I ask the group, do you know, how is the moon tonight? Is it half? You know, it's just, I don't know. Well, let's go outside and tell me, you know, and connect with it. Because in the past, people perfectly know about that, you know, the solstice, the equinoxes, to harvest, to seed. They were connected with nature. Nowadays, we live under our roof in a, you know, four walls room. So that's the point, right? Of just, you know, stargazing, you know, in the night. It's amazing.
I couldn't agree more. Jorge, you dropped off there. Do you want to jump back in and finish that thought? It was a good one.
I don't know where I left, but what I was saying is that, you know, to change the world, you need to change yourself. And then there's a missing point that we're having right now, that there's this human crisis that creates an environmental crisis, and one of the consequences is climate change. But climate change is the consequence. It's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is humanity, and is the model that we're doing. And what we need is to give opportunities to the local people to make a living. And tourism is that opportunity. When you go to the Amazon basin, when you come to our places in the Andes, you know, or to the Galapagos, you give opportunities to that people that instead of going and hunt, or instead of going and destroy the forest to do a living, those places start giving them the opportunity to do it. So it's a very important thing to keep on traveling. Maybe we should change a little bit the way we travel. Maybe we'll start to happen things like Michael said, that we should probably travel slow, try to travel longer, you know, not jumping every other day on a plane to see a new, to give time to connect with the locals, to give time to connect with the culture, not just seeing a place, but overall to give time to connect to yourself, you know, to understand where you are and where you want to be in the future. You know, one of the most important things that you need to do to create your future is to start seeing where you want to be. And I'm a mountain biker, and I always use this example of, you know, on a mountain bike, you need to take your eyes to the trail you want to go. If not, you will hit the rock. But if you see the trail, then you goes in that direction. And that's something that we have to do in our lives too.
Yeah, you know, one of the things we keep coming back to, right, is kind of getting travelers in this path, right? You guys are experts. You guys have been providing experiences for many years, you know, and the market, you know, it definitely, you know, as we've gone through this pandemic is, you know, as we all have, you know, had that opportunity to reprioritize, right, revision what's important to us, you know, who are we, and you know, we've seen the shift in the industry with travelers, you know, expressing that they want to focus more on their well-being. You know, they want to focus more on using travel as this opportunity to you know, focus on interpersonal development, you know, self-realization, enlightenment. You know, it is shifting, you know, but you know, as Michael said, you know, they come to Galapagos Safari Camp, and we see this at lodges all around the world. They're not putting their phone down, right? Like that. You know, when is a time where we, you know, as the, I guess, the stewards of travel, of meaningful travel, you know, like you guys, if you come here, you got to put your phone down. Like, you know, drop your phone in this box, you know, or, you know, this is part of the experience, you know, and that value proposition change. Yeah.
We do not have Wi-Fi, and we do have, but only for staff. So sometimes passengers, they discover that and they complain. And what we do is we have a small laptop computer, very uncomfortable at the reception desk, and they can check their emails there, you know, exactly as you do with the smokers. If you want to smoke, okay, fine. You go and you smoke there, and you don't bother everybody, and you stay there, and you should feel a little bit ashamed. This is what we do, more or less. It works.
Yeah, I like it.
And I think you do need that time to become disconnected. No, I don't know how long it takes you, but I see it with my kids, of course, now, especially because a lot of the children have been online, that there is this dopamine that, you know, is infected, and you want more and more and more. So you do need, and I don't know what that time period will be, but I can assure you that the people who were traveling before for 3 or 4 days to come and see the Galapagos, I don't think that 3 or 4 days gives you that time to disconnect. I think that people now, and we're seeing that with our new passengers who want to stay, you know, 2 weeks and really take it in. And I think that, you know, after 2 or 3 days, you do start totally to disconnect and start getting into the groove, and then it comes easier.
Absolutely. You know, with these changes that we're seeing, you know, in the market, you know, and within the industry, and that's unfolding every day. If we break it up into 3 sort of segments, we've got the travelers, we've got, the tour operators and the travel advisors, the people that are engaging and working with the travelers. Then we have the experience providers, the lodges, the inbound operators, the attractions. Of those three, who do you think has the biggest responsibility or opportunity to shift their behaviors and create a better tourism? Whether that's transformation, or sustainability, regenerative tourism. Who's got the most opportunity to affect change at this point?
Well, Jake, I believe that the one that have more impact, on people, of course, I think it's the operator, right? The one that we offer the experience, but we all must change. We all need to change. The operators, the travelers, the industry, the world, right? And I believe also that going even more macro, that tourism must change. See, so tourism is coming from the word tour in French, means stroll. So we need to stop strolling around, right? And be more responsible in the way that we move around the world, right? So if we're going to think about travel, come on, you're not going to stroll again. You're not going to litter, plastic everywhere. You're not going to consume, big hot tubs, 3 times a day. You're not going to. We need to change. So tourism must change. And I believe that that word must be cut out. And if we need to transform our passengers, the world, the tourism, come on, let's stop strolling around, really, and be responsible, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that it's the most important thing, the macro thing. And then all the things down are going to change, need to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are hard conversations, that people have to be prepared to have, and us as the industry, and especially those on the front lines, travel advisors and tour operators, we've been bending over backwards for travelers for so long, right? Like, whatever it is that you want, I'm going to customize it. It's going to be exclusive. It's going to be this and that, but we're the ambassadors, for these experiences that potentially could change them. You don't go to a doctor, or a psychiatrist or an attorney and tell them what you want, right? You go to them and you get support. You're guided down that path. And I feel like there's a certain responsibility for us, as tourism, to shift as well.
I also think the passengers have a lot to do with it, no? Because they're asking the tour operators to get them quickly to one destination. I think that, I don't know, the holiday system in the States is 2 weeks and you try and cram it all in and you want to try and see multiple destinations. I think coming out of COVID, I think it's something that, has affected us all to stop a second and to reevaluate what we want out of life, out of what we're doing, if we're engaged or not. And I think that, with this traveling, maybe you stop and you think, well, why? I'm not going to take as many trips maybe as I used to, but these trips have to be more meaningful and have to be more enriching. And by extending that trip, we sometimes also send information to our passengers before they take the trip so they can start thinking about it, preparing. Half of the journey is thinking about where you're going to go, because, the traveling is going to be a quick. So I don't know if that's also something that we could encourage more, making sure that they do that.
For me, who needs to change? Humanity. It's we need to change our model. We need to change the way we do things, and in the sense of what we value, and how we value people. It's like there's a beautiful opportunity there, and at the same time, I don't we've been working, as Bernardo said, in sustainability from the beginning. The Tierra del Volcán was born as a way to promote conservation. So probably my first hat is conservation and my second hat is tourism. And what we realize also that is important is that people feel that going into a sustainable experience will mean sacrificing quality, which is not, or that sustainable and luxury does not go hand to hand. But I guess what you will find in a lot of our places is that the luxury is the experience. You know, it's like are experiences that you could not have in any other way. You know, you live at home, you know, and that's the beauty of travel, that you could be someone different from what you normally are at home. You know, so you could go and become a monk in India, you know, for a while, or you could come and become a settler, or you could go and become an explorer by discovering Patagonia walking, you know. But at the same time, these experiences could be a lot really meaningful in your life, and not necessarily means that you're sacrificing something. It means that you're open new boundaries that were not in your radar at that time. And again, places like mountain lodges of Peru or Hacienda El Porvenir. You get into them, and I haven't been yet in the eco camp, but I've been in the safari camp, and you will find beautiful food. You will find um, beautiful dining experiences. So you still being very pampered, but with an added
Good.
value beyond just, you know, the food. It's just this whole connection that we have, and with the opportunity overall, and again I repeat it, to rediscover yourself, and also to give back to the place you visit. I think that's something that has to be more and more over the table, you know. And we, for example, have planted more than 500,000 trees, all for conservation, all for habitat restoration. So we're a carbon positive company. And I think that's the other thing, is that our clients, the client needs to start asking more for service that are responsible to the places that they go. So we need to change the human model. But within tourism, you know, we need to get into this tipping point of understanding that there's different ways of doing things that is still luxury, and part of that luxury is giving back to the places that you visit.
Absolutely, Jorge. Tell me, I've been to Galapagos Safari Camp. Absolutely amazing, and I've been to Jorge's lodges. I haven't had the chance to get to Peru or Chile yet, but like I said, I'm a big fan. But one thing I do know is that some lodges, some camps, they have that it factor. There's just a mojo, a magic, a mysticism that never shows up on doesn't show up on the website. You know, sometimes through different reviews, but it's a feeling that some of these places have. You know, I'd love to know, like, what are you guys doing? What are some of the strategies or your approaches to creating that vibe, that feeling of, you know, being completely comfortable and immersed into a camp or a lodge? Bernardo?
Yeah, I can. You know, it's a very very good question for us, because and we ask our clients always, and they do appreciate the magic, but they, in my opinion, they are not. It's hard to explain what is it. And for me, when I made the click was when I read a book from Jared Diamond, The World that happens to be yesterday, or something like that. The main idea of the book is that the ancient civilizations, the social organization of the tribes have had very good qualities and things that were very good for education and for behavior and for sociality. And in my opinion, in our case, I call it the expedition flavor. What I love and what the founders love is to be in an expedition. And everybody that have been in an expedition, there are several features that make you feel magic, and you always leave an expedition with a special connection with the other members, with the place, with everything. And you suffer during the expedition. You are cold, I've been in kayak expedition when you are wet for 10 days. So what we put in place at our lodge, of course, our guests will not be wet, day and night during 10 days, but they will be wet when they walk from their room to dinner. And they will have a wonderful dinner and they will have a wonderful dry bed, but they will be wet for 2 minutes. And for example, another, our indoor places are very crowded, very small because of the wind and because of the sustainability. We don't want to spend, a lot of energy to heat the forest. We want to heat only the place where the people need it. And so crowded places are indoor crowded places, and outdoor wild and pristine nature is something that you get in an expedition. If you go to climb a mountain, you will have a lot of hours chatting with your partners within the tent, feeling there with no telephone to check your emails. So you will have to talk. You will have to talk, and you will develop very, very strong connection. So we have a lot of features that in my opinion, are what I call the expedition flavor. And this is the magic that you get there. We don't have, too much wild animals. We don't have ancient civilizations like you may have in Galapagos or in Peru or in Ecuador. But we have a pristine and wild nature, and this feel of being in an expedition, and small bits of suffering or comfort zone out there. So I think this is the secret that the founders put in place there.
I like it. What about you guys? How do you instill the magic?
Well, in my case, Jake, I'm sorry.
Dale,
Yeah,
Andres.
in my case, thank you, Jorge. In my case, I was lucky enough to be part of the group of architects that designed and built the four of the lodges of Mountain Lodges of Peru. This is back in 2005. So the lodges get the magic, the design of these lodges get the magic from different elements. But I have to say that there are like three more important. Like one is the authenticity that makes you feel that you are in a lodge, but in a mountain ambient lodge, right? In Cusco and not in Chile or in Argentina, even though they are close enough, but you have the sensation that you are here. Then the materials that we took, like feel the sensation you are in a local place. It's not something, foreigner in the middle of nowhere. That connection with the place, and of course the authenticity, and you're going to find all the lodges a tradition that is going to connect you with this place, like the tradition with an ancient celebration like Coyoriti, the connection with the mountains, or you have the sensation that you're spending the night in a tambo, in a refugee, in a small Inca refugee. So they all got this very connected concept with the local environment and traditions, that you're not going to feel that you are in Nepal or in some other place. So the local, is very important, and that sense is very strong.
Beautiful. How about Jorge or Michael?
I'll go. So I think one of we are in the right places. It's like we've been blazed with being, and I'm talking for all the lodges that you're seeing here, to being one of the most beautiful sceneries and places in the planet. The world is beautiful in general, but in South America, all these places are really unique. And as Andres said, what you will find in Hacienda El Porvenir, for example, is an authentic construction which has a thatch roof and has like a real ambient feeling. But in our experiences, I think what makes it unique is that we're able to bring out your inner child, and reconnecting with your inner child, being able to play again, being able to as Bernardo said, become an explorer, and being playing, because we adults we're always taking things too seriously, and And I think one of the beauty of travel is that we're able to relax and we're able to forget a little bit about things. And that's the importance of having these. For example, we have Hacienda El Tambo, which is a technology detox place, you know, that is an Inca Tambo. And so overall, you know, we create legendary moments. We create moments that will stay with you forever. And by inviting to play, you know, by inviting to explore, and those are the moments that will remain in your life. Those are the moments that you will want to tell to your grandkids, you know, and those that were able to say, you know, there was a before and after, you know, from that experience.
I love that. Before and after, Jorge. Brilliant. Michael, what's
Well, I
that
think that,
magical vibe at Galapagos Safari Camp that entranced my family and I?
I think that also, yeah, I mean, that's why we chose a tent. I think that to be able to have all the comforts but be out there, and maybe it's also going back to being a child, to be in a tent or go for that tenting experience. So you feel, you hear the birds, you hear the breeze, something that you won't get in a normal hotel room. I think that that's why glamping has such a great potential for future of tourism. I think that that's getting you closer to the nature. You hear those noises, you hear the wind, and you feel more, I think, part, and also exacerbates your senses. I think that's why we've chosen that model for Galapagos.
All right, guys, this has been amazing. I've got one last question to throw your way. I think we could probably go on for hours, but anyway, the last one, you know, obviously we led off the conversation with a little bit about you know, the opportunity we've had to be introspective. You know, knowing what you know now, you know, imagine you could turn back time and start everything over. You know, and you know, whether that's in business or you know, or you know, in regard to sustainability, you know, but we sit on this edge of change. You know, that we have an opportunity to essentially turn back time. You know, and look at things differently. What are you going to do differently? How have you transformed? And you know, to put a little bit of pressure on you, I'm going to ask you to answer that, you know, with one sentence. Anybody up for taking that challenge on?
Personally, the question is personally or from the company point of view?
Whatever you'd like to share.
Go on. I have to think.
In one sentence, we are doing a change in our energy consumption. I think that climate change is so important to us. We have finally got approved the permits. We've been at it for 2 years to go solar. So that for us, I mean, we have the water because we collect everything from the roofs. And now with this project, we're looking for funding. We've been looking for funding, but we have it approved from the government to go totally solar, so that we are actually selling back into the grid.
Awesome. That sounds like a real
one sentence. Sorry, Jake, but
no, it was one sentence, and then you explained it, so we're good.
I will say, Bernardo, go ahead. Go.
Okay, from EcoCamp point of view, I would do exactly the same. I would not change anything. And from my personal point of view, I would have got involved earlier in my life.
Beautiful.
If I could go back and talk to myself, like probably will be that more trust myself, to live more by passion than from fear. You know, follow your passion, not your fear. Yeah, you're able to create your future. Do it.
Beautiful, Jorge.
You know, in my case, in my personal perspective, I think that I will be saying that I will be love to be more connected with nature, with more connected with the roots. I lived in Santiago, in the middle of the cement jungle, and finally moved to Cusco. And when I moved, I sold my car, I left my stuff behind, and I moved to Cusco with one luggage and one laptop. That was my life, right? And right from the start, from the scratch, starting again. So I think that in my lived in the past in Santiago, more close to nature, I wasn't enough connected.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, it's been an honor. Just to cover a couple things that I know have come up in a really powerful way is the disconnect to reconnect. Get into rhythm and nature, root ourselves in the sort of these universal truths. And when we talk about transformation, I mean, you guys have been in this business for many years, and I'm excited to see what you guys do next. It's a time to be bold and to be brave, and continue to lead by example, like all of you are, and help travelers, open up to the possibilities, of travel, and the benefits that they can bring home, and then, share that newfound wisdom, start to travel and live more mindfully, for everyone. So anyway, again, Mountain Lodges of Peru, Eco Camp, Cascada Expeditions, and Galapagos Safari Camp, and Jorge, thank you, Tierra del Volcan. I am just blown away by you guys, and I appreciate you taking the time to be part of this New Dawn in Travel virtual festival. And hopefully we'll have our paths cross again soon.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.